What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 23 of the Amazon Hustle podcast. And before we get into the actual podcast, let's go down memory lane and let's go back to the year 2003. 50 Cent is the most popular rapper. He's in the club asking girls 21 questions because many men wish death upon him just because he's a PIMP. Marlon was busy looking for Nemo, and I was fresh out of high school, just starting my first job working at Target. I go back to this because over the past 22 episodes, well, this is 23 now, so over the past 23 episodes, I have interviewed 3 different 18-year-old six-figure Amazon sellers. And I bring all this up to set the scene for this week's podcast. This week, I'm going to be interviewing an 18-year-old Amazon seller, David, also known as Dave Does Ecom on Twitter and Instagram. And Dave is the third 18-year-old Amazon seller that I have interviewed on the Amazon Hustle podcast. I have interviewed Ben, who is an 18-year-old Amazon seller, and I interviewed Michaela, who's an 18-year-old Amazon seller. And after interviewing these young Amazon sellers, it just reminds me of how much of my youth was just wasted on girls, partying, and video games. I mean, it all turned out good now, but I could have been so much farther than where I am now if I just buckled back down at the age of 18 and actually kind of just focus on one thing. I mean, of course, I'm 37 now, so 18 years ago, Amazon wasn't around, but I'm sure there's something I could have did to kind of put me in a better situation. If I was able to go back to being 18 years old and I just knew 1/10 of the information that I knew now, Ben, David, and Michaela, I would give them a run for their money. But I can't be a Monday morning quarterback. But just talking to these younger entrepreneurs just kind of reminds me of how much time I wasted when I was younger. Just talking to the younger generation and seeing how some of them, not all of them, how some of them are so motivated and taking their futures into their hands and becoming entrepreneurs or at least starting side hustles, just kind of warms my heart, because we as older people always think about it. When you were a kid or when you were a teenager, the older generation, your parents, your aunties, your uncles always said that there's something wrong with us, that back in my day, we did it this way. And that's kind of how we are now. I look at a lot of younger kids and I'm saying, I would never do that, or they're messing this up, or they're messing that up. That's not how it always is. And I have proof on the podcast showing you that some of these younger kids are actually doing the things that we wish that we would have did when we were younger. So I know I sound like the old guy saying, back in my day, we did this. Back in my day, I had to walk 22 miles to go to school, or I had to do this, or I had to do that. So I'm not trying to do that. I'm just going to stop sounding like my grandfather and rant about the younger generation and their music. And we're just going to get right into episode 23 of the Amazon Hustle podcast. I've already introduced him, David, aka Dave Does Ecom. This is one of my most favorite podcast that I have done, which this podcast is based on Amazon, but I love it when it goes out of Amazon and we're able to talk about things like social media, content creation, entrepreneurship, self-help, books, that type of thing. And there are a lot of spotlights in this conversation that I had with David. One of them that I'm sure all of you, especially new Amazon sellers, will find very intriguing is we have a part in this podcast where we talk about how to hire a VA, where to go to get a VA, what to look for when you're hiring a VA, and what to expect when you do hire a VA. That's very, very important, and I know a lot of you guys will enjoy that. And then we also talk about social media promotion. Basically, David is focused on growing his Twitter, and we talk about how he grows his Twitter, what he does, what programs he uses, and things like that. So I'm gonna stop talking now, and we're gonna get right into episode 23 of the Amazon Hustle podcast with special guest Dave Does Ecom. Okay. So Dave, welcome to the Amazon Hustle podcast. Could you do me a favor and let the listeners know who you are and exactly what it is that you do?
I'm David. I also go by Dave Does Ecom on all socials, and I sell on both Amazon and eBay. I'm 18 years old, so I started young, and I'm loving it.
Okay, 18 years old, man. I am double your age. I'm 37. When I was 18 years old, what was I doing? I was working at Target. I had just graduated high school and I was working at Target. And mind you, that was 18 years ago, so we didn't have Amazon and things like that. But I didn't like working at Target, so my best option was to join the Army. So I joined the Army, and the rest is history. So at what point did you decide that you wanted to get into e-commerce?
So the reason and the way I actually started when I was 16, so I was even younger. My uncle, my father's twin, has been doing it for probably 5 or 6 years now, and at that point, probably 4 years. So he would tell me these stories. Oh, I sold this thing I got for $2 for $200, and I was just amazed. I was like, "That's crazy! I want to do that." So at 16, I went under his wing, and I started. I started with eBay actually. So would you in 2021?
So would you go to thrift stores to find gems and sell them on eBay, or did you like have a like have a specific niche that you were following?
So the way I started was just like a lot of people, I'd go to thrift stores, garage sales, flea markets, estate sales, all that, and just flip general items. Now I still do eBay, but I niche down. I
Mm-hmm.
just do comic books now. So I
Okay.
do 98% comic books roughly. So it's a comic book store, and I really enjoy comic books, so it's fun for me.
Nice.
Um,
So
with
eBay,
that.
you started out doing just like the regular thrifting, and then you niche down
Yeah,
to comic books, and
that's
now
right.
you do just comic books and you sell on Amazon. So what got you from eBay to going to Amazon? Was your uncle also doing Amazon?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he does like all platforms,
Okay.
Amazon, eBay, Walmart, Facebook, all that. So my original goal was to do Amazon before I even started eBay. But
Okay.
when I talked to him, he said, starting with everything, it's probably easier to start with eBay just to learn the sales market and figure how things work, which I definitely recommend for people to start with eBay because it's a lot easier and you can make more mistakes with a lower scale. Amazon won't forgive you as much as eBay will. So I took about 7-ish months on eBay before I actually started Amazon. But yeah, same thing. I started because of my uncle. He also had been doing Amazon for
Nice.
that time.
Nice. I started about 4 years ago, and I started with eBay also. I was at my job and I hated my job like a lot of people. So I got onto YouTube and was like how to make money online. And I went through a little bit of time of trying to trade Forex. Then I went into a little bit of blogging, which I had success with blogging. And that's when I got my first taste of actual like making money online. But it wasn't fast enough. So somehow I got to reselling and I got to eBay and I had a whole bunch of Jordans and I needed money. So I started to sell my Jordans and I was making so much money so quickly that I kind of fell in love with reselling. And I did eBay for like a year and then I found Amazon just doing research about eBay. And then I moved over to Amazon. And once I got to Amazon, I was like, all right, I'm gonna just stick to Amazon. But also it was very hard for me to find things that work in it was also very hard for me to find things that work in eBay that I can get to the store because I live in Germany, so it wasn't really popular stuff that, like you could find
Right.
that I knew about. But once I found Amazon, I was just really stuck on Amazon. So, question for you: if you had to pick one, eBay or Amazon, like somebody said you can only do one for the rest of your time being a e-commerce seller, eBay or Amazon?
I'm picking Amazon. You can't go wrong. I mean, you just got to think of the volume that Amazon does.
Mhm.
eBay is still one of the biggest platforms, but it doesn't compare.
Right,
eBay is sort of like a passion project at this point. I just enjoy it. That's why I do it.
I got it.
Um, Amazon, you could just I do enjoy the Amazon stuff too. I think I do enjoy the fun of eBay more and the
Hmm.
uniqueness of items,
Hmm.
but the overall success I've had with Amazon far outweighs eBay. Um, the work, I'd say it's a little bit easier actually for Amazon
Yeah, yeah.
than
I
eBay,
think
but I do prefer Amazon for sure.
the way I see eBay versus Amazon, I see eBay as like the wild, wild west, and the eBay and the Amazon is more like the government, like the wild, wild west. There really is no rules. You just go out there and you just throw stuff up and then see what sticks, and then you go with that. But with Amazon, it's more structured, and if you get that, like there's a 6 or 7 different ways you can sell on Amazon. But if you find one that actually works, then all you have to do is just keep repeating that system, and it's going to work no matter what.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So when you started selling on Amazon, what did you start selling with? Wait, first, how much money I guess you were 17 at that time now? Because maybe
Yep.
16, 17. How much money were you able to invest into your first shipment on Amazon and what did you sell?
So well, originally with eBay, I started with $80 and I just kept
Okay.
multiplying that. So
Right.
there's not an exact amount I started with Amazon with, but
Hmm.
I just started doing retail arbitrage. So I was going to like Walmart, going down the clearance aisle, scanning things. I remember some of my first products were, like the stick on nails, uh, these Bluetooth shower heads, these
Okay.
paint cups. Those are like the three products that I remember.
Wait, hold on. I'm
And,
sorry. I've never heard of a Bluetooth shower head. Why would you
yeah,
need a
it,
so
I
like
hey, they were selling and they were selling really well too. They had like a 200 sales rank in
oh,
electronics.
hey, okay. I
Yeah,
mean,
they sold instantly.
yeah, I remember a couple of times I've saw so much stuff on Amazon. Like a lot of times I don't even know what these things are. I just know that the rank is good and that the keeper chart looks
Oh
looks
yeah.
good, and then I'm gonna sell it. Have you ever sold anything that you didn't know what it was?
Oh yeah, a ton of the time. I right now I'm selling a couple things. I'm like, who buys this? Who
Right.
uses this? And it's like, hey, the profit's there, the margins are there. I'm buying it, you know. A lot of times it's just the title that I'm looking at. I don't look at the product, you know, like
Exactly.
it just
Exactly.
is what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Being 16, 17 years old, you're still in high school, and a lot of 16 and 17-year-olds people, a lot of 16 and 17-year-olds are thinking about going to college and thinking about their future. When your friends were like talking about going to college, like are you also in college now, or did you have plans to go to college, or how did that work out?
So I really didn't want to go.
Yeah.
I ended up I'm in a community college, so it's real
Okay.
cheap, it's real simple, you know, that kind of stuff. And basically, you know, that's just pressure from my parents and grandparents and stuff to go. They're paying for part of it, you know. So that's kind of why I'm going. It's simple. I go a couple days a week. It's not bad. So,
Are you
but
going to
yeah,
get
I
your
originally didn't
associates?
even want to go at all. What'd you say?
I said, are you getting associates?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm going for, just in business
Okay.
administration. But
Okay.
yeah, so it's really just a part-time thing. I'm not against it completely. You know, I wish like right now I'm on break still, winter
Mhm.
break. So I have so much more time. It's great. I'm getting so much work done. Um, so
So
I'm,
you
you know,
said,
I'm excited
sorry.
to be done.
Yeah. Okay. So you
But
say that pretty much from the pressure of the parents and the grandparents, which I think a lot of us understand that a lot of us do things in our life that maybe we're not 100% into, but from the pressure of family and friends, like you do it. Um, I don't want to offend you when I say this. So when you're in class and you're doing this and you're like, okay, I have to do this paper or I have to do this study or read this chapter or whatever, and you're looking at your Amazon sales just keep going and going and going. How do you still manage to stay focused on your school when you have like these type of pictures and these type of sales months that you're posting on Instagram? Like, how do you stay focused with school?
yeah, well, a lot of it, you know, I just try and avoid the opening the app while I'm in class. Um, I usually scroll through Twitter during that time. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you know, like, oh, man, I'm making this much money. Why am I bothering writing this paper? But like I said, you know, I'm kind of doing it just to reassure my grandparents and parents, and that's what I'm there for. I'm not
Right,
really there for me. As
right.
much as they want me to be there for me, I'm not. I'm doing
Do
it for
they
them.
know how
So,
you feel about it? Like, are you
oh
like,
yeah,
grandma, I'm just going to class today just because you want me to go?
that's exactly right. They know. They they don't like to hear it, but that's the truth.
Okay, so if you're doing that just for them, how do they feel about your business?
They're very supportive. You know, at first, especially being a 16-year-old trying
Mhm.
this stuff, you know, my mother was on edge, but luckily because I had my uncle, he was on my side. So he kind of helped push both my parents and then my parents pushed my grandparents
Mhm.
um, to let me do it. And now they're very supportive. Um, the one thing they find funny is all the packages showing up at the door every day. Um, like, and then some of the stuff I sell, like weird stuff, like, well, who's buying? They have the same reactions I do. Who's
Mhm.
buying this?
Mhm.
So they're very supportive now, and I'm very grateful for that. Especially my dad. My dad's probably my biggest supporter, so I really appreciate
That's
that.
great. That's great.
Yeah.
So, let's go back to you 17 and you started on Amazon. You was doing retail arbitrage. How long did you do retail arbitrage and how high did you get? And I guess the way we can gauge the gauge the highness is like how much were you making a month in revenue just doing retail arbitrage?
Yeah. So first off, I started doing retail arbitrage, and I did it for too long. Let's make that
Okay.
clear. I should have started online arbitrage way earlier. Um, but I did it for about 7 months ish before I really went and focused on online arbitrage.
Mhm.
So I had this one product that I found technically online, but I would go and buy it in store.
Right.
And I I did about 15 grand in sales of just that one product,
Oh wow.
as a replen, of course.
Mhm.
And then they discontinued the product.
Oh,
When that happened, which was about August-ish, I was like, okay, time to switch. So because that was my biggest seller, of course.
mhm.
So that's when I switched. It was about August, which right around my birthday, I actually switched, was in August. So when I turned
August
18.
of 2022.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
That's when I
Okay. Okay.
switched. So
Okay.
pretty I'd say that's recent still. I mean, that's only what, 5 months ago. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um
Um,
yeah, I switched them.
when you decided to switch to online arbitrage, were you already before that already researching about the programs that you need to use and how to do all that? Did you do that, or did you just say, all right, it's gone now? I'm gonna start doing online arbitrage.
Yeah. Yeah. So one quick thing I'll throw in there too is while I was um in high school, I went to this program, and we had to do an internship for a business. So I kind of found a loophole and did an internship for my uncle's business.
Ah,
So I
nice.
actually like started to learn a lot of the online arbitrage aspects while doing that internship for school.
Oh,
So it was really useful. I learned like I obviously Keepa, you learn in general, but Seller Amp, even tactical arbitrage I messed with. And I also did a couple courses during that time. So
okay.
I was still doing like that was probably March time. So even early on, I was focusing on getting to that point. It was just a
Mhm.
matter of when I was going to switch. So yes, I was doing a bunch of research ahead of time, um, learning as much as I could, and then when I was ready, I switched. So
I
yeah.
get that. Also, I think I did read arbitrage way too long. Like I started with books because I was doing eBay and Amazon, so I was already in the thrift store, so books just makes sense. So I did books for like a year and a half, which I think is way too long. But I was still doing retail arbitrage in those times, but I wasn't focused on retail arbitrage. But then like a year and a half in, I focused like on retail arbitrage, and then I did that for like another year. And I actually just started doing, was it August? No, September. I just started doing online arbitrage, so where I was focusing more on online arbitrage. When you started to focus on online arbitrage, did you see your sales increase?
So at first, obviously they decrease because I pretty much completely cut off retail arbitrage and bet on myself to just
Mm-hmm.
take this and run with it. So they dipped about 50% from my previous month in August, which was my best month at that point. Um, but then, I bounced back, and now I'm consistent hitting, sort of where I want to be. Uh, so at first it dropped off, but now it's going back up. I'm to the levels where I feel like, okay, I kind of got this now. I'm doing all right. So yeah.
Doing all right. I've seen some of the screenshots you post. You're doing way more than all right. I want to talk about your friends. Do you have like do you feel like a unicorn around horses, or do you have other friends that are doing well, just let's just say making money? Like, do you have other friends that are in the business avenue, or is everybody worried about partying and playing freaking Call of Duty or something?
So for me, I was very lucky because I had always had a business mindset, and I always knew, the whole school route wasn't really for me. The whole business
Mm-hmm.
aspect was even before I started this. So during COVID, when COVID hit and the lockdown, I kind of cut off all the bad friends. So I kind of
Nice.
cut out most of them. Now, I do kind of feel like a unicorn, but I try not to hold that against people. Like, oh, okay, you really just make that much. Like, I don't hold that against people. I feel like that's a little bit wrong. Uh, but I do have a couple friends who are interested. Like, I have
Mhm.
people who, lifelong friends who are like, hey, can I just have a little advice? I'm always happy to help friends, of course. So they still have similar aspirations to me, but it's not like they are taking the action I'm taking, if
Right.
that makes sense.
No, I get you. I get what you're saying, where you want like you don't want to be judgmental, like, oh, you're only doing this or oh, you're only doing that. But I've come to learn that you kind of have to be judgmental. Like you can be judgmental and not mean it in like a mean way. But if somebody's only worried about playing Call of Duty or being on Tinder and you're worried about getting this next shipment in, like y'all kind of don't have two things in common. So you kind of got to cut that thing off because they say you are the what is it, like you are the sum of the five people that you hang out with.
You
So
hang out,
you
yeah.
kind of have to level that up, especially being at 18 and being successful now. You have to be more weary of your surroundings than like somebody like me who was back in 18 and I was the guy who was just worried about girls of Call of Duty. So you just got to cut people out.
That's exactly right. So yeah, I keep my circle really tight. And a lot of the people that I talk to now are online who are doing the same sort of stuff that I am.
Which
In
right.
person wise, it's a lot less, which I'm okay with. I have no problem with that. Keeping the people who are actually focused on a real successful path are the people I keep close to me.
I get that. One of the things that I have found that a lot of us self-starters, online entrepreneurs type of people have in common is a question I want to ask you. But the way I want to frame it is if you had to guess on a daily basis, how often are you doing something that goes towards work? And I don't mean exactly like just sourcing, but I mean sourcing, checking something, checking your Amazon thing, doing a social media post in your Discord, like all those things go into your overall business. So I have 100% of the day. How much of that percent do you think goes towards building your brand and your business?
Wow, that's a tough question. A lot of what I do, let me think of a percent. Okay, so I'm sleeping probably 8 hours.
Okay, let's
So
say
I'm gonna go
sleep goes down to 66%. Now you have 66% of the day
right.
that you can actually do something.
I'd say probably 40 to 50%.
Exactly. And that is what I was going to say. I see that a lot of like, because this goes back to where you're saying that if you have to cut some people out, then you're okay with that. I think a big reason why you will be okay with that is because 50% of your day is already busy. Like, you don't even have to have time for those people anyway. So if you didn't have this entrepreneur spirit or this online business going, then maybe you would like feel it more, but you're just too busy to even be like, you don't have time to sit down and play 3 hours of Call of Duty, or to go to the club, or like things like that. So I think that's why maybe you're able to just do that easier, which is
Yeah.
good personally.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to some Amazon stuff. When you started doing online arbitrage, what type of things were you looking for? Like, what categories were you focusing on?
So with retail arbitrage, I did a lot of groceries. So when I started online arbitrage, I looked for grocery. Grocery is
Mm-hmm.
a bit harder, I'd say, to do for online
Yeah,
arbitrage than it is
yeah.
for retail arbitrage. So I realized pretty quick, let's focus on something a little easier. So like a lot of people, I went to toys, beauty, and those are the main two. I'd say beauty for sure. Beauty's really good for online arbitrage. So along with apparel as well, like shoes,
Okay.
Nike shoes, that's also really big. So those were the top three, I'd say, um, for sure. Yeah, those
Yeah.
three.
When I started doing online arbitrage, when I was doing retail arbitrage, I actually started doing retail arbitrage because of the whole lockdown. All the thrift stores got locked down, and my mentor who taught me how to sell on Amazon was like, okay, either you can still focus on books and you can't get any books, so you can just say that your Amazon business is on pause or over with now, or one store that's never closed no matter what. And I was like, what? And then she was like, grocery stores, because people always have to eat. So how about you get ungated in grocery and start doing groceries? So I did grocery store at the whole lockdown, and I was able to like triple my from the first year to the second year, I tripled my revenue just by doing groceries. So when I did online arbitrage, I was like, well, I already know groceries, so let me try groceries. But I agree with you. It's not impossible, but from being like 80% of what I sold doing retail arbitrage was groceries. Now groceries is maybe like 5-10%, because you just find better deals. And I've noticed, me personally, when I find deals for groceries, whether it's like cereal or cookies or candy, Amazon has a higher chance of jumping on the listing. And when they do jump on that listing, they tank it so far down to where like I was buying Oreos for like $4 or $5, and I was selling them for like 10, and the Amazon jump on it and they selling it for like 1.99. I have no chance to
I know.
compete with that
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
So I moved over to beauty. I do a lot of beauty. I do a lot of home goods, like glasses, tea mugs, tea kettles, like all that type of stuff. And I do a lot of beauty also.
Yeah. I mean, now for me, my biggest category now is health and household. I do a
Wow.
ton of supplements, gummies, all that. That I find a lot of success in that category for me.
Do you have to? Is that like OTC? Do you have to get ungated in it, or
I don't do OTC, so I do like, people take their gummies every
oh
day,
like
like
oh like
vitamin
multi or like
C.
multivitamins and stuff?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Vitamins, yeah, vitamins, and then supplements as well that are not OTC. OTC is a whole different category. I think for me, I'll probably eventually get ungated, but for now, I'm not really focused on it. Um, there's a lot more risk involved with that too, but that's not really an issue for me. So
Okay. So with
yeah,
the
but health and household.
yeah, so with the multivitamins and stuff like that, you don't have to be ungated for like different brands, or is it just all open, or how does that work?
So for me, I'm auto ungated in a lot of it, and I feel as though I'm lucky that way because when I'm like trying to show other people, like, hey, check this product out, a lot of the time they're gated.
Mhm.
Whether it's usually the brand, but I'm ungated in so much, so that's why it kind of works for me. I have that little bit of an advantage. I don't have to ungate it for almost everything. Like
Yeah.
I'd say about 80% of the stuff I could sell.
That's kind of like how the grocery category is. Like, you have a couple of those brands like Skippy or Kraft that you may have to get ungated in, but like I say, like 80 to 85% of the category is already open. So, and that was health and goods, or what?
Health and household.
Health and
Yeah.
household. Okay, okay,
Yep.
nice. What does a day for like you look like? Like, let's just take yesterday. Like, how do like are you a scheduled person, or are you just a I wake up and I get shit done type of person?
So I'm a to-do list person. So
Nice.
I'm kind of a mix. Um, for me, one thing for me that's a little bit different than a lot of people is I'm super unproductive in the morning. A lot of
Okay.
people are productive in the morning, but for me, my best work hours are like 5 p.m. to like 11 p.m. So, I don't mind sleeping in till like 8 o'clock, if you
Hmm.
consider that sleeping in.
It's
I'll
not,
sleep
but
till 8. I'll wake up. I'll go on my phone. I'll do a lot of the stuff like social media in the morning, stuff
hmm
that doesn't take a lot of brain power, I guess you can
hmm
call it. I'll check the Discord. I'll reply to messages. I'll post on Instagram. I'll do that stuff in the morning. And then once it comes to like the real work, like sourcing, even prepping, I'll do at night. Um, I'll do that all from usually, the later hours of the day, and that's
okay.
when I get my most work done. So
Okay.
I
Yeah.
structure my day that way.
I've noticed that a lot of people, well, not noticed, but I know that a lot of people will say, "Oh, you have to wake up at 5 a.m. and you have to get straight to it, and you got to do that." That's how I am. I like to wake up like 5 to 6 a.m. and get things done, but that's because I have a family and kids and like things like that. So at 5 a.m., nobody's up asking me to take them to school or to do this or to check their homework or to cut the grass or like things like that. So I have my alone time, but my morning time is more for me. So I do things like I go to the gym, I read, they say don't check your social, but that's kind of how I make money. So it's like saying don't go to work before 8. Like I have to, so I check it. But I'm more in a content creator mode. Like I'm not scrolling through there to see what everybody else is. I'm checking my YouTube stats. I'm checking my Instagram stats, things like that. Then the middle of the day is I'll either go sourcing or I'll create something. But after like 7, I'm pretty much done with. Like I get how some people can do it at night, but at 7, if I had to really do something that I had to put brain power to, it would be not done at all.
Yeah. I know most people are like that, where they have to. I'd say the majority of people are more of a morning person when it comes to work. For
Mm-hmm.
me, I'm a night person, and I kind of wish it was opposite, because I would wake up early. I have no problem with that. And just getting it done, especially with the school schedule and stuff, it kind of works out for me. With the school usually being in the morning time, so it's less effort for that.
Have you ever had a real job that you got like a W-2 for?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I recently quit my W-2 job. So I was just a part-time,
Mm-hmm.
worker at a grocery store called Wegmans.
Okay.
Um, and I did that almost 2 years, not even 2 years yet. And I quit in, I think, September or November. Um, and I
Yeah.
had been able to quit for a long time, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind the job. It really wasn't that bad. It was just because I worked with good people. I love the people I work with. My managers, even, like, those were great people. So that was the reason I kept the job for so long. I could have quit probably another year before that,
Mm-hmm.
because it's low income. It's just a part-time job. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, I did a part-time job.
I kind of have the exact same story. Like my last job, I worked there for like a year, and the job I had, I was a security guard, but like I sat in the office by myself. I didn't have nobody else there. I literally, if I worked 10 hours, I would maybe work 1 hour out of that 10 hours, and then the rest of the time I can edit my videos, I can source products, I can do all that. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to have another job after this, but as long as I have this job, let's just see how it goes. But it came to a point to where they wanted to move to another job to where I wouldn't be able to do anything. So I was like, all right, it's just time to go. So that's why I quit too. So I can understand that just keeping it. But did it come to a point to where it was hindering you growing your business and your brand? Is that why you quit?
Um, I'd say yes and no. Um, I got to the point where I was working maybe 1 day a week.
Okay.
But that 1 day a week is still like a day that I can do other things to make a
Mm-hmm.
lot more money. So yeah, I'd say yes for that aspect, but knowing the fact that it was kind of slowing me down. I was still moving at a pace that I wanted to, but
Mm-hmm.
I would say since I've quit, I have moved faster. So at that point, it didn't seem like it, but now it definitely does.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that definitely was part of the reason I quit. Yeah.
Are you a one-man team or do you have employees or VAs or how does your structure look like?
Yeah, so I have VAs. I have currently I have three. I actually just got off in a couple interviews yesterday and this morning for two more. I'm looking to hire two more
Okay.
VAs.
What do you like? I'm looking into VAs, but I don't see like I'm gonna be honest, the way I get my listings or my or like my leads, because I don't source anymore. Sourcing was one of the first things that I outsourced because it was taking up so much of my time. But what I do is I like 90% of my resources and my time go back to replanning things that I'm already selling. and I'm just looking for maybe 3 to 5 new things a week. Like I'm not a big sourcer because I have like a really large catalog of things that are already selling. So if I get 3 to 5 products a week, I'm good. So I didn't see the point in hiring a VA full time because I didn't need 20 and 30 different leads every day, single day.
Right.
So I just hopped on Fiverr. I found somebody who was offering leads. I kind of coached him into the way I want it to be. And then every day I just pay him, every week I just pay him like $30 and he sends me like 15 leads, and 3 to 5 out of those are going to work out. So with your VAs, are they full time or are they part time?
All of them are part-time, which is nice. Sort of like how you say, like you don't want a ton of leads that you have to search.
Mm-hmm.
For me, uh, like they all do a little bit. So maybe, 5 to 10 leads a day. That's it.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's like 5 days a week. So, and not like one of them I have for social media marketing. One of them I had for eBay. Now he's training for Amazon because I don't really need him for eBay anymore. And then the 2 that I'm about to hire will be for Amazon. So I'm sort of expanding that way because I'm getting to that point where it's like, okay, I can definitely spend more on leads.
Right.
So yeah, for me, it's that way.
Okay, with your VAs that are going to be solely for Amazon, that's going to be 3. Are they all just going to be sourcing, or do you have other tasks that you have them do, or that you want them to do also?
For now, it's just going to be sourcing. I don't really need anything else from them that I could like think of. If I do, then sure, yeah, I'll train them. But for now, just sourcing. Yeah.
Right. How does a person go about finding a VA? Like, what are your steps and your criteria for finding a VA? Because you said that you just interviewed a couple yesterday. So what are you looking for when you're looking for a new VA?
So I'm definitely one of the biggest things I look for is their response time to your messages. People that are like actively looking for work and are actually like going to be attentive and good employees, you can say, are going to like focus and want to reply to you and get your response. They're going to be active, you could say.
Right.
So that's a big thing for me, especially is how fast they're going to reply to your messages, especially with them being in a different time zone. It shows how much they're willing to work and their dedication to work. So that's one big category for me. Then one of my biggest things is I always have them send about 3 to 5 test leads, which I'll go through those. I'll check everything A to Z, and then I'll give them a grade usually, and then based on their grade, I'll do an interview. After the interview, then I make a decision. So
Is the interview like video call, like Zoom, or is it
yeah,
just
just
text?
like this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's how I
And
do.
do you use, I think it's like Upwork or online jobs.ph, or is that where you go to find them?
Yeah, I do a variety. Yeah, I do. I've done Upwork and I have done both online jobs. But I've also done just social media too, because a lot of them have realized sellers are on social media now.
Mm-hmm.
So people will reach out to me. A lot of the time, those aren't the best VAs, but there's some that are hidden gems. So I've,
Okay.
One of my first ones I did find from social media,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been great. I've had him for multiple 4 or 5 months now, so it's been
Nice.
really well. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And what is the going rate for like for like a part-time VA?
So I usually pay mine salary as opposed to hourly, being
Mm-hmm.
that they can work however much they want.
Just get you the leads.
And yeah, so a lot of them like that. Some of them have never tried it, so they're open to trying it. But for me, it really varies. I usually start them off at a lower rate, maybe 30 a week or something like that, kind of like what you do for
Mm-hmm.
maybe 5 to 10 leads a day, something like
Right.
that. And then I build them up, usually maybe $5 a month or $10 a month until they get to like a nice rate of like $60 a week or something like that. And then
Nice.
that's pretty fair for them,
Nice,
usually.
nice, nice. Have you had any bad experiences with VAs, or have they all been perfect?
So far I've been pretty lucky with the hires that I have made. I haven't had anybody too um tough. The one I've only had to like I don't want to call it fire, but part ways with one VA, which was the social media one, just because of the response time. Simple as
Okay.
that. It was like a whole day before they would get back to me,
Oh
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
I need things to happen.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So and then I about a week after that I replaced that person, and the new person I've had for probably 3 months now,
Mm-hmm.
wonderful, doing a great job for me.
Nice.
Instant response time. So that's what I love. So that's the only bad experience, but it really wasn't that bad. I'd say it was a mutual decision too.
I get that.
So yeah.
Let's hop to some of the social media stuff because I want to ask you about your social media VA because I'm looking into getting into one of those. But my experience, I've already hired two. Of course, I hired them on Fiverr. Maybe that's where I messed up. But all they were doing was just adding a bunch of people that don't care about my content that probably aren't even real accounts. And I actually was up to like 7,000 followers on my first account, but I hired VA and they started doing so much bullshit that I ended up getting shadow banned. So I had like 5,000 and I went from like 200 to 300 likes to getting like 20 and 30. So I just started all over. So exactly what does your social media VA do?
So actually, when he approached me, because when I was looking to do it, I wasn't really sure how they would go to promote your mine's mainly for Instagram.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure how they were going to go to promote it. But then when he explained it to me, I was like, a really good idea. So basically what he does is he'll go every single day and he'll go through different hashtags that are related to Amazon or eBay or reselling.
Mhm.
And he'll, comment on people's posts. Hey, at Dave.zcom is into this content or does similar stuff. And then I make sure that they interact with the post, they follow a lot of people, because it's like a I scratch your back, you scratch my back kind of thing with
Mhm.
social media. If you follow them, they're going to follow you a lot of the time. You like their posts, to like your posts.
Right.
So that's how I built my following. Really, is just interacting with other people. That's the biggest thing for me, and just offering free things is a lot of the way I've grown. So, like my free Discord's a big one. People
Mhm.
love that. There's almost 800 people in there now,
Nice.
and they just people I have people DM me, hey, I really appreciate what you're doing with the Discord, and that's just a free thing that people like, which has helped me grow in social medias for sure.
Okay, with your VA, so have you ever heard of the dollar 80 rule from Gary V?
I have not, no.
Okay, it's pretty much what you just said. He has this theory that if you leave your 2 cents on 90 different profiles every single day, then you'll grow your following. And with those 90 comments, you go over 10 different hashtags in your niche and you just pick the top 9 or the top 9 recent people and you go in there and you leave a real comment, not just like awesome sales, but like something that's actually of value, or you answer one of the questions that maybe they didn't answer in their comments. So I guess that's pretty much your VA, like what like you have them
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah, essentially that kind of
And
stuff. Yeah.
have you like, do you think it's worth it? Because like I'm looking for that. So like, do you think it's worth it?
I definitely think it's not a bad investment, especially with you trying to really focus on content. And same with me
Mhm.
now. I'm trying to just grow social medias. It's definitely worth it because they're cheap. They're really cheap for that kind of
By cheap,
stuff.
what do you mean by cheap? Like how much are you?
I pay them another it's like 30 a week ish. So it's
Okay.
about the same as a regular VA.
Right.
But for me, if you're like, I don't know, you sell a course or something like that, or
I
coaching or
have
something like that?
I do coaching, but
Yeah.
I have my first gate my first course coming out. It's a mini course on how to get ungated in like 100 different products and like what it actually means and like all that. I have that coming out this month.
Right. So you figure, if you're paying this person, $120 a month, if you make, even potentially just one or two sales, you're gonna make
Then it's
that
worth
back.
it.
And that's
Right.
100% worth it for me. So for me, I've been positive even from the first month. So
Nice.
definitely worth it if you can. Just you gotta find the right people though, for sure.
Do you have a course?
I don't have a course.
Okay.
I do like consulting calls, which I don't really promote too much just when people ask about it, just because it's not something I'm like hugely focused on. Right now, I'm coming out with a private like leads Discord, I guess you can call it, where it'll have, VAs and myself putting leads in there, and then people
Mhm.
can do that. So on Twitter, what I do, and it's a great way to grow your Twitter. I don't know if do you use Twitter a lot?
I use Twitter to make my posts for Instagram. My Twitter is trash. Nobody cares about me on Twitter.
You
I do
should
not know how to
definitely
grow on Twitter.
Twitter is probably easier to grow than Instagram. As many people
Really?
think it's harder, but I think it's easier. And I've grown probably 1,000 followers in the past month just doing that. And
And
it's
what do
pretty.
you do?
So I do these things called like lead giveaways. So
Yes, I saw that.
yeah, so I post those, and then people interact with those, and then part of it is following me and interacting with other posts.
Mhm.
And people love that. So I've built up this reputation over the past almost 2 months I've been doing them. where people are like, hey, this guy gives good leads, because it's not like, bogus leads. I'm giving real stuff that I
Right.
would buy.
Right.
And so a lot of them I do buy. And people like that. So people have followed me because of that. And now they just like my content. And a lot of them, because of those lead giveaways, have my notifications on. So they get notified for every tweet. One tool that I use, it's a software called Tweet Hunter.
Tweet Hunter.
And definitely it's a bit pricey. It's about $50 a month.
Okay.
Which, well, I guess that's not that pricey.
It's
in
not
this
bad.
retrospect, but that's been crazy helpful. It's got tons of features. Definitely look into it.
Okay. Yeah, I just pulled
Where
it up now, so I don't forget.
yeah, you can schedule tweets. So I have right now, because I'm gonna go on vacation for a week tomorrow.
Mhm.
So I have my entire week planned out of tweets, the entire week. So I have probably 200 tweets planned out for the entire week.
Oh, whoa, hold on. How many tweets are you posting a day?
A lot. I post a lot of tweets a day. I've had Twitter since August, and I posted almost 6,000 or almost 5,000 tweets.
So you're posting
that's
like 1,000 a month, which goes to about 200 in a
Right.
week, 200 to 200. So
Yeah.
you're posting like 30 to 40 tweets a day.
Yeah, 30 to
Okay.
40. Well, no. Well, I mean, the thing with that is retweets count as tweets, or comments count as tweets.
Okay.
So I comment on tons of people's stuff. I retweet tons of people's stuff, which is how you grow. You
Okay.
have to interact with people. So, follow people, interact with people. That's how I grow. And then also, you just talk to other people on Twitter, just like you would on Instagram. You DM them, and then you guys talk, and then you support each other. So I'm in a couple different like group chats where we just like, hey, just asking for advice, and then you interact with their tweets, they'll interact with yours. So that's how I've grown. And then, like I said, the software, there's this AI that actually makes tweets for you based on your content.
Oh.
So every day I have like 9 tweets that they generated for me based on my previous tweets. And they're hit or miss or whatever, but also there's this impersonator feature where you can type in someone's username and it'll AI generate tweets based on their tweets.
Oh, wow.
And then you do that for people who are in the same niche as you, so that way you can get ideas for content of what to put out. So it's really, really useful, and it's incredible. And the reason I got it, for the first reason, is it has the auto DM feature. So for those lead giveaways, as soon as someone does the steps, the software will automatically DM them the lead.
Oh, so basically you put up like a picture of the seller amp of like what it is, and you say, follow me, go to my Discord, and then once you've done that, it just auto DMs them the actual ASIN.
Yeah. Usually I have them like and retweet, and then as soon as it sees that it did that, it will automatically DM them the lead, like instantly. So the kind of funny story of how I got into it, when I first started doing the lead giveaways, on like the fourth or fifth day, I had a tweet that got like 100, 200 likes or whatever. So that's a lot of people that wanted that. But Twitter limits how many people you could DM in a certain amount of time. So every hour or so, I'd have to go in and send like 15 different messages, manually copy and pasting from my notes. So it just took a lot of time. So I'm like, okay, it's time to move on from this manual nonsense and get some software. So I just tweeted out to people, hey, how do I set up auto DM? People DM me, hey, check out Tweet Hunter. So people are really interactive, and I feel as though people are more engaged on Twitter.
Yeah.
So definitely, definitely look into Twitter.
Yeah, I have it, and I've been thinking like, okay, because I have TikTok too. Like Instagram is like my main thing, but I want a second one, and I'm not like a big fan of TikTok. Like I make videos for Instagram and YouTube, so I post them on TikTok anyway. But I'm active on my Twitter, just like nobody cares. But I guess I need to be tweeting out more and actually talking to other people instead of just posting stuff to take a screenshot to post on Instagram.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about? Yeah. Have you ever thought about doing your free leads on your Instagram also?
So, I mean, I have, but I feel like with that, I don't know of a software that can do the same stuff.
The auto DM.
That the auto DM, auto everything. It does everything for me. Most of the time, I don't even go on Twitter. I just go on Tweet Hunter. So,
okay.
So, with Instagram, but then again, I just feel like it's kind of my Twitter communities kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Twitter's my main focus right now. I love Twitter. So Twitter, and then I also give out free leads in my Discord as well. So those are my 2 funnels for leads.
Right. What got you? Okay, well the first question that I like to ask a lot of people that on the podcast is, how important do you think it is for new sellers to like get on social media and interact and network with other sellers? Do you think that helps or it's not important?
I think it's extremely important. I wish I would have been in from the absolute start. As soon as I got on social media, as soon as I started talking to people, you gain so much knowledge, you learn things, you exchange information with people who know things that you don't. You may think you know everything, you
Mhm.
don't. There's no
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
So it's extremely useful for networking. That's the whole point of social media when it comes to business stuff. Um, so that's what I wanted to do,
Hmm.
and that's what I have done, and it's been great. I've made some really good friends online who have helped me grow. We talk on Zoom calls all the time. We'll do sourcing together. We'll make content together. All this stuff, and it's a really fun thing to do, but it's also really useful, and especially for new sellers when you're trying to learn stuff, when you have that access to just ask people who are in the community, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? People are willing to answer these questions. If people are friendly, there's nothing to be intimidated by, which I feel as though a lot of people maybe are against it because they feel like the look may be stupid,
Hmm.
but no, you don't. People are willing to help for everything. So
Yeah,
that's definitely a big help.
I agree 100%. I can think of two separate times that I thought my Amazon business was going to be done with. And just from me building up my Instagram and talking to other people, I was able to solve those two problems just by talking to other people. Like they say, you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it. So that's just one of the things. Like it may not seem like it's important until you actually need it, and then that person that you follow 2 days ago actually has the answer that you want, or you have the answer to somebody else's problem, because it's like a give, it's like give and take. Like you give out good info, and then good info will come to you. So I agree, it's very important for new stuff, and we live in 2023. Why wouldn't you be on in a place where there's 1,000, 2,000, 20,000 other people doing the exact thing that you're doing, and that you can learn from there? It's just common sense to me. One of the last questions I always ask my podcast guests is, do you believe any person can start selling on Amazon and become a, I don't want to say 7 figure or six figure, but do you think they can at least make enough money to replace their 9 to 5 job and become their own boss?
So a lot of people probably say yes, but I'm going to go with no.
They do.
I think
Okay,
that
why not?
there's a certain type of people who can do it, but there's a lot of people that can't. The people that can't are people who are just lazy, because
Mhm.
laziness is something that's very hard to fix. It can be, but people choose not to. I know a ton of people around me that I don't think they could do it, whether they want to or not. They got to prove it to me. I don't look at someone and say you can do it for this kind of stuff if I know them. Now, I believe the majority of people can definitely do it and find success and replace their job, but there is definitely some people that just wouldn't be able to do it based on their previous habits or their work ethic. Work ethic's a big one for this. I mean, you
Yeah.
have to be working. But yeah, I'm going to take the oddball response on that. And I'm going to say no for that. But I'd say the majority of people that can. And if you truly believe that you can, then do it. There's no reason you can't try. There's no harm in trying.
I agree with you 100%. I have a lot of people that say, of course, anybody can do it. And I can kind of agree with them, but I'm more on your side. I think anybody can do it if they have these certain traits. Like if you are able to be a self-starter, like you don't need somebody to come say, hey, you need to source, or hey, you need to do that. And if you can be consistent, because like a lot of people can do something for like a couple of weeks, but can you do it for a couple of months, a couple of years? I think that's one of the biggest things is, can you be consistent with it? But I agree with it. We talked about Instagram, we talked about Twitter, we talked about your Discord. What is the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Any social media, I'd say Discord's probably the number one. I
I'll link
have a
that
free
below.
Discord. Yep, it's called Resellers Avenue. It's for resellers on all platforms, probably focused on Amazon. I'd say we give away free leads in there on the daily, and we just chat. People ask questions every day. We'll answer them. It's a good community just to talk to people. So for sure,
Nice.
join.
Well,
Yeah,
I appreciate you coming on the Amazon Hustle podcast, David. I really do appreciate that.
thank you for having me. It's been great.
So I hope you guys enjoy episode 23 of the Amazon Hustle podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, please do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Because not only do I post podcasts on my YouTube channel, I also do a lot of Amazon tips and tricks videos. If you are listening to this podcast on one of your favorite podcast platforms, then please give it a 5-star rating, share it on your socials, and I'll catch you guys next week in episode 24 of the Amazon Hustle podcast. Peace out.